The MPA Capstone Project, an overview of the course and project. The purpose of the PAD 771 Capstone Seminar is for students to demonstrate that they have successfully mastered skills developed during studies in the MPA program. The student develops a term project on a policy, oversight, or public management problem by completing a policy analysis. If a student completes a scholarly article which is accepted for publication in any peer-reviewed journal in public policy and administration, the student is entitled to a waiver of the requirement to complete PAD 771 and the Capstone Project. The following journals are encouraged: any official journal of the National Association of Schools of Public Affairs and Administration, the American Society for Public Administration, or the Association for Public Policy Analysis and Management. The Journal of Public Inquiry is also encouraged. Other journals are accepted at the discretion of the program directors in consultation with the Capstone Seminar faculty. Students may also become eligible for a waiver through acceptance of a scholarly paper at a national conference of the National Association of Schools of Public Affairs and Administration, the American Society for Public Administration, the Association for Public Policy Analysis and Management, or the Association of Inspectors General. Students seeking to satisfy the capstone requirement through this option should contact one of the program directors as soon as possible, particularly if the student has not yet undertaken or submitted the paper or article. A waiver eliminates the requirement of PAD 771 for the student, but not the requirement for 42 credits of graduate coursework in order to graduate. See the capstone guidelines for further information. The project submission consists of 3 components: the project essay, which is in the form of a 12-page memorandum, a 2-page cover memorandum, which is an executive summary of the primary memorandum, and 12 presentation slides designed to support a presentation of your project to an audience. This section of the media lecture covers the project specifications, what you submit, the stages of submission and grading, and the basis for applying the grading criteria. Your project must be based on a real agency or organization in a real locality. Your project client is the person to whom your primary memorandum is addressed. Your project client must be a real official. The official does not have to be identified personally. For example, you can use a fake name, and the student does not have to meet with the official personally. But the client needs to be someone in a real position. Your project must answer a basic question which your client poses to you. The question would be a question that an official might ask, and your project must provide an answer to the question based upon an analysis that examines the problem, sets out policy options, assesses the policy options, and makes a recommendation based on the analysis. Your analysis must rely on real information or data. The information must be related to the agency and location involved in the project, but the information can be qualitative or quantitative. The sources of the information or data for your project must be identified. Typically, the project will cite official or published sources of information or data from the jurisdiction involved. they must be cited, that is to say, footnoted, in the primary memo. If the information or data is unpublished, you must email an explanation of where it came from to your professor, and be prepared to provide the data to your professor on request. You may gather original information or data. You can do this by conducting interviews with public officials, making your own assessments, using published information about the locality or agency, or constructing estimates based on other jurisdictions. The primary memorandum must explain what you did. Your project must comply with college and university human subject protections. You may interview public officials. You may acquire and analyze public information. You must not survey people without approval, and you may not reveal private information, such as educational or medical records. When in doubt, be sure to ask your professor for advice. Your project must be of a reasonable scale. It must be practical for an MPA student, considering the skills you have acquired, the limited time available, and the knowledge you have. For example, you shouldn't propose a project to cure cancer or eliminate the national debt. Federal agencies and programs are permitted, but don't choose a topic that is too large or too complex. Consider a small program or office or project. For example, consider what a Congress member or state assembly member might ask about his or her district. Analyzing your policy options will require techniques. You should select methods of analysis that you understand and apply skills that you have learned. When you have an idea for a project, complete the project definition worksheet. It is available for download in Blackboard. And then discuss the project with your professor. Your instructor may not give you an extension on the deadlines for submitting your project for grading. You can fall behind on submitting the weekly drafts of your project, but you do this at your peril. Submitting weekly drafts of the successive components of your project to your faculty instructor helps to improve the quality of your project overall. Also, be warned that modeling your project after one that passed several years ago is definitely not a good strategy. Grading standards and project expectations change over time. Students from the past may circulate copies of capstone projects which passed several years ago and suggest that these are models for what you might do for your project. Be aware that this is very bad advice. During the capstone seminar, you will develop the capstone project in stages. Each week you will submit a part of the project to your instructor. Your instructor will explain how to make the submissions by email, Blackboard Dropbox, or other method. It is important not to get behind. As you look at this schedule, it may seem daunting. You may feel like you're being asked to produce a term paper every week, but this is not the case. Remember that the capstone project memorandum cannot be longer than 12 pages. So therefore, your literature review, due week 4, for example, is not likely to be longer than 2 or 3 pages. This would also be true for the other components, So think about your project submission schedule as submitting a series of 2 to 3 page drafts of parts of your project every week. It's the best way to get your project developed efficiently and effectively. Additional media lectures will cover topics such as project specifications, project development deadlines, submission procedures, the grading process, as well as how to outline your project and the contents of the particular sections of your project. The best advice to be successful in the capstone seminar is to continue to communicate about your project with your professor. Thank you.